Chapter 27-23. Patriarch. Patriarch. In the hall of the imperial court, the sect master of the world's edge and 3 elders flew over. When they saw the old ancestor's sullen face, they were slightly shocked and quickly called out. Your ancestor Wu failed, and was ambushed by 3 undying God King Peak experts from Dragon Palace. Someone from the imperial court saw us and attacked. Our World Edge sect has broken the rules. Old Ancestor Sky Edge said with a sullen face. What? The old ancestor actually failed. Old Ancestor, the Imperial Dynasty experts noticed us. Old Ancestor, what should we do now? As soon as he finished speaking, the sect master of the World's Edge and the 3 elders asked with faces full of fear. I'll go look for Protector D. You guys will take charge of things here. Gather all the disciples, and be careful of the Dragon King's men. Old Ancestor World's Edge immediately ordered. It's the Old Ancestor. The World Edge sect master and the others nodded. Buzz. Old Ancestor Sky's Edge didn't hesitate. His figure flashed, and he instantly left. Sect master, now we. An elder from the World's Edge looked at the sect leader at the side with an ugly expression. Gather all disciples above the God King realm in the main hall, and wait for news. Send disciples to stand guard outside. The sect master of the World's Edge clenched his fists and said, Yes. The 3 elders immediately ordered all of the disciples to wait here, and a few disciples to be on guard. After that, the World's Edge's headmaster and the elders sat at the back of the hall and waited quietly. A group of experts from the World Edge sects gathered together and discussed among themselves. They knew that the World Edge sect seemed to be in danger again this time. To the experts and disciples of the World Edge sect, this was extremely frustrating. Ever since they were defeated by the Dragon Palace, they had lost their former glory. Thinking back to when they were on the Demon Island, who dared to provoke them? All those who dared to provoke the World's Edge sect had to die. As the experts and core disciples of the World Edge sect, they enjoyed all the glory, splendor, wealth, women, and wealth were at their fingertips. Now they were like stray dogs. It's all because of the Dragon King. It's all because of the damn Dragon Palace. One day, I'll definitely take revenge. I'll kill all of them, and torture all of their women to death. In the main hall, a disciple of the World Edge sect roared violently. That is? What a powerful divine artifact. What kind of divine artifact is it? Who are those people up there? They're so fast and they're so powerful. At the same time, the World's Edge ruler was flying at a terrifying speed on the planets at the front lines of the Imperial Court. Some experts from the Imperial Court's Cold Night Island looked at the World's Edge ruler in shock. Dragon King, the planet in front of us is where the Tinya sect is located. A few minutes later, the World Horizon ruler appeared in front of the planet where the World Horizon sect was located. Attack! Destroy them! Wang Xian's eyes gleamed coldly as he ordered immediately. It's Dragon King. In the next moment, roving heavens leaped up and transformed into a berserk dragon species. The sea-calming divine needle appeared in his hand. He waved it and smashed it towards the star where the World Edge sect was located. Kill! His roar could be heard clearly from hundreds of millions of kilometers away. Buzz! At the same time, the Horizon ruler also unleashed a devastating attack. Fuck, what's going on? This is... The surrounding experts and disciples of various forces, who were paying attention to the mighty aura of the World's Edge ruler, had a drastic change in their expressions when they saw roving heavens and the World's Edge ruler unleashing their attacks. The destructive power of a pinnacle immortal God King. What are they doing? One of the 8th Order God King realm experts widened his eyes in shock as he looked at Huang Xiaolong. Boom! 2 incomparably terrifying attacks instantly arrived above the planet of the Horizon Great Sect. The experts from the World Edge sect, who were on high alert, were stunned. Pinnacle Immortal God King's attack run. An expert from the World Edge sect could not help but shout. Not good, hide. At the back of the planet hall, an elder immediately pulled up the World Edge sect master beside him and hurriedly hid into the distance. Run! Run back to the Eternal Celestial Nation. At this time, the World Edge sect leader also reacted and shouted in fear when he felt the destructive attack. Boom! At this time, the boundless energy landed on the planet. Some of the experts who did not react in time were stunned. The destructive power of two pinnacle immortal god kings landed on the planet, causing the entire planet to crumble. The faces of the god king experts in the hall were filled with shock. The figures of those who reacted quickly vanished instantly. However, there were more god kings who could not react in time. The boundless energy landed in front of them, and in an instant, tens of thousands of immortal god kings were killed. Moreover, under this energy, experts continued to fall at a terrifying speed. Some of the experts nearby stared blankly at this scene. The entire planet was destroyed. Who are they? That's the Imperial Court's planet. Who are they to dare to cause trouble here? A cry of surprise came from one of the experts nearby. That boundless energy caused their hearts to tremble. A planet was destroyed in an instant. They could sense that there were many experts on the planet. Roving demon, quickly collect all the corpses inside. Wuxia looked at the destruction of the planet, and his lips curled. After this attack, other than the dead, the rest escaped back to their god nations. However, he could sense that there were at most tens of thousands of immortal god kings that escaped from the World Edge sect. In other words, 30 to 40,000 experts died under the attack of Roving Heavens and the World's Edge ruler. It's the Dragon King. Roving Demon and the others moved and immediately flew forward. Who dares to cause trouble in our Imperial Court? Just at this moment, an expert's voice rang out from the surrounding planets. Wuxia scanned the surroundings and saw many Imperial Court experts flying over. What's that sound? At the same time, on a planet not far away, Old Ancestor Sky Edge Masako lowered her head and stood in front of Protector D. Protector D frowned as he listened to Old Ancestor Sky Edge's report. The sudden voice caused the two of them to be slightly startled. This terrifying aura wasn't something an ordinary expert could unleash. Let's take a look first. The D Protector moved and immediately appeared above the planet. Old Ancestor Sky Edge hesitated for a moment before following behind. However, the moment he flew out and looked over, his eyes turned bloodshot. Dragon Palace. Dragon King. He let out a furious roar and flew over, his body reeking of blood. Damn it! Protector D's face changed when he saw this. He immediately flew over to where Lin Fan was. Hee, Old Ancestor Sky Edge, you're a little late. However, our feud isn't over. The matter of you attacking my disciple isn't over either. Wuxia said calmly when he saw him flying over. Dragon King? Dragon King of Dragon Palace. Sky Edge Sect. What's going on? Chapter 27-24. The entire star was destroyed by Dragon Palace and Dragon King. That terrifying aura. Dragon Palace must have sent out more than one undying God King peak expert. The rules of the Imperial Court forbids killing. Violators will be killed. Now that the Dragon Palace is attacking the Sky Edge sect, the Dragon Palace destroyed the star directly. Many experts from the Sky Edge sect must have died. Now that the Sky Edge Old Ancestor is here, are they going to fight? Terrifying explosions shook the battlefront of the Imperial Court's chasm battlefield, attracting the attention of countless people. In just a few minutes, billions of people had gathered. As far as the eye could see, there was a dense crowd of people discussing with shocked expressions. Everyone knew about the feud between the Sky Edge sect and the Dragon Palace. The Sky Edge sect had once been defeated by the Dragon Palace, killing close to 20,000 undying God King experts. Now the two forces were fighting again. Dragon King, I'm going to kill you. Upon hearing Wuxia's words, Old Master Masako of the Sky's Edge was infuriated. His body trembled as he stared at the shattered stars with his bloodshot eyes. A divine axe appeared in front of him as he struck out violently. Ha ha ha, how dare a stray dog be so arrogant? Rumble. Seeing his attack, Roving Heavens raised the ocean steadying godly needle in his hand and faced it head-on. The terrifying shockwave from the collision spread to the surroundings rapidly. Oh no, retreat! This is a clash between two pinnacle God King experts. The people who were closer to the battle were shocked as they hurried to hide. Stop! Rumble! At this moment, a terrifying giant hand appeared and blocked the shockwave from the collision between Roving Heavens and Masako. Dragon Palace. How dare you break the rules of the Imperial Court and kill people here? Are you looking down on the Imperial Court? A cold bellow was heard from the back. It's the guardian of the Imperial Court. Hearing this voice, everyone's expression changed. They knew that the experts from the Imperial Court were here. This guardian of the Imperial Court, an old ancestor from the Sky Edge sect, attacked my disciple openly. They were the ones who offended us first. Why can't we take revenge? Anyone who attacks their own kind in the Imperial Court will be punished by the Imperial Court. I want to know how the World Edge sect will be punished for their actions. Wang Xian looked at the protector of the Imperial Court and asked with sparkling eyes. The reason why he dared to make a move this time was that the Dragon Palace had enough evidence. World Edge sect violated the Imperial Dynasty's rules first, so naturally, they were the ones to be punished. In any case, this is not a reason for the Dragon Palace to blow up a planet and kill countless people, that Protector D said expressionlessly. Upon hearing him, Wang Xian frowned slightly. Phew, something happened here. Did the Dragon Palace take action? That's Protector D. It seems like we've finally caught up. Let's go. At this moment, a group of more than 10 people rushed over on a special aircraft near the abyss. When they saw countless people gathered in front of them, they were startled and hurried inside. Lord Protector, an ancestor from the World's Edge, attacked Sister Beishuang when we were heading into the abyss. He violated the rules of the Imperial Court. The Emperor Star Maiden's gaze swept across the center of the group and immediately reported. Lord Protector, as the Emperor Star Maiden said, an ancestor from the World's Edge sect ambushed an 8th Order God King realm expert and violated the rules of the Imperial Court. We saw it with our own eyes, as well as Deacon Ying and the rest. Beside the Emperor Star Maiden, a princess from the same group spoke up. That's the princess of the Imperial Court. That's the Emperor Star Maiden, the current princess. The other one is the former princess, and they have deacons with them. An ancestor from the World's Edge sect actually ambushed an 8th Order expert and the disciple of the Dragon King. That's too despicable. When the surrounding people heard the words of the Emperor Star Maiden and the rest, they started to discuss. It's your Dragon Palace that ambushed our disciples first. Our 4 elders and over 10,000 Immortal King experts were all killed by you. You deserve to die. The World's Edge ancestor roared furiously. Kiki, our Dragon Palace assassinated you first? If you can produce evidence, our Dragon Palace is willing to accept the punishment. If you don't spout nonsense. This protector of the Imperial Court, according to the rules of the Imperial Court, please deal with him fairly. Wang Xian looked at the protector and said. That Protector D frowned slightly and glanced at Feng Yizi with a displeased expression. The World's Edge sect is in the wrong, but since they have worked for the Imperial Court, we'll spare their lives. If there's a next time, we'll annihilate them. Protector D announced plainly. Protector D's words shocked the surrounding people. Their eyes sparkled as they looked at him. Let's go. When Wang Xian heard this, a cold gleam flashed in his eyes as he replied straightforwardly. Wang. Activating the World's Edge ruler, Wang Xian and the rest flew away. Seeing the Dragon King and the rest leaving, the surrounding people were stunned once again. Protector D. Why are you protecting the World's Edge sect? It's clearly the World's Edge sect that broke the rules. When the Emperor Star Maiden and the rest heard Protector D's words, their faces turned ugly. The other princess, Deacon Ying, and the rest also frowned. Protector D must have his own reasons for his decision. We shouldn't doubt him. Deacon Ying said. Protector D of the Imperial Court is protecting the World's Edge sect? The World's Edge sect is the archenemy of the Dragon Palace. What does Protector D mean by that? Is Protector D unhappy with the Dragon Palace? The surrounding experts from other forces were thinking when they saw this. Protector D's action revealed a lot of information. It could be said that a protector could represent the attitude of the Imperial Court. It was even more thought-provoking to see the Dragon King of Dragon Palace and the others leave immediately. Dragon King, the protector of the Imperial Court, is obviously protecting the World's Edge sect. Should we get rid of them? At the same time, the World's Edge ruler had already left the area. Orochi said with a murderous look. Wang Xian remained silent with a sullen face. According to his calculations, the Sky Edge old ancestor had violated the rules of the imperial court by attacking them and would be punished by the imperial court. However, the protector of the imperial court was openly siding with the Sky Edge sect. Especially when the Sky Edge protector flew over to question him, he sensed that something was amiss. As the saying went, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. However, the friend of my enemy could also be my enemy. Since the imperial court was openly siding with the Sky Edge sect, then a murderous intent flashed in Wang Xian's eyes. Orochi, tell Mo Sha that his next target isn't just the Abyss Seed. He can kill anyone he can, he said coldly. Chapter 27-25. Wang Xian had thought that he had a good relationship with the Emperor Star Maiden, and that she had some status in the imperial court. Their dragon palace would have a better relationship with the imperial court. But he was wrong. The imperial dynasty didn't care about a disciple like the Emperor Star Princess at all. Furthermore, as a protector, he did not have to worry about the feelings and reactions of the dragon palace. They can do whatever they want. The World Edge sect was related to the imperial court, so their protectors could directly protect them. Although he didn't accuse the dragon palace, it was enough to convey a message. World's Edge was under the protection of the imperial court. World's Edge Great Sect could attack Dragon Palace's people. But if Dragon Palace attacked World's Edge Great Sect's people and was caught with evidence, the imperial court might punish Dragon Palace. It was the complete opposite treatment. Moreover, the World Edge and the Dragon Palace were now mortal enemies. The World Edge sect would definitely seek revenge on the Dragon Palace in the future. If the Dragon Palace couldn't kill the people of the Sky Edge sect, the Sky Edge sect would kill the Dragon Palace after they became stronger. Indirectly, the imperial court would also kill the Dragon Palace, because they were protecting the World Edge sect. As for the imperial court, Wang Xian had nothing to worry about. Although the Dragon Palace and the imperial court were far apart in terms of strength, the imperial court was already an enemy. In that case, the resources to upgrade the Dragon Palace would not be limited to Abyss species. He could kill the Abyss beasts, but he could also kill the Imperial Dynasty experts. Dragon King. The Dragon Palace can give birth to another 3,000 venomous horned dragons. Give birth to the last 3,000? Yamada no Orochi asked with twinkling eyes. Yes. Wang Xian nodded his head. Dragon King, in my opinion, it's much easier to deal with humans than the Abyss species. As long as we can parasitize a small team of experts in the Imperial Court, we'll be able to grasp the situation of a small team. Then Demon Fiend and the rest can continue to ambush us as the Abyss species. I believe that not long from now, the experts of the Imperial Dynasty will suffer heavy losses. Bachi said coldly. Send someone to handle this matter. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. It's Dragon King. Yamada no Orochi nodded. To Wang Xian, everyone in the Abyss battlefield was an enemy and a resource for the Dragon Palace to improve its strength. Since you don't respect our Dragon Palace, don't blame us for being impolite. Wang Xian murmured. Brother Fengyazi, I don't want this to happen again. This time, because of you, we have completely offended the Dragon Palace. Although we don't take the Dragon Palace seriously, the Imperial Court doesn't want any trouble at this time. At this moment, Protector D spoke to Masako with a cold expression on a planet at the front line of the Imperial Court. Thank you for your protection, Protector D. We will definitely not cause you any more trouble. Masako lowered her head and replied, Don't find trouble with the Dragon Palace anymore. The Holy Kingdom of Emperor God Yilong will open in a month. If you can obtain a great opportunity, and find an opportunity to break through, you can kill as you please in the Dragon Palace after you break through. Protector D said in a low voice. Yes, thank you, Protector D. Masako thanked him once again before leaving. Dragon King of Dragon Palace. When he flew out from Protector D's place, killing intent surged in his eyes again. Although Protector D had protected the Sky Edge sect this time, the Sky Edge sect had suffered heavy losses this time around. Over 30,000 Undying God King experts had died. Currently, The entire Sky Edge sect was left with over 10,000 Undying God King experts. From 80 to 90,000 experts to over 10,000 now. It was all because of the Dragon Palace. The blood feud would not end until one of them died. I hope I can obtain a great opportunity in the Holy Kingdom of Emperor God Yi Lung this time. Only then can we annihilate the Dragon Palace. Only then can we take revenge. He murmured and clenched his fists tightly. Dragon King, we have collected all the corpses from the Sky Edge sect. Other than over 30,000 Undying God King experts, there are also countless Eternal God Masters and above. In front of the abyss, Roving Demon and the rest rushed over and reported to Wang Xian. Return to the Dragon Palace and use all the resources to improve the strength of the members of the Poison Department. Wang Xian said. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Demon nodded. All the resources were used to improve the Venomhorn dragon species. Currently, the Dragon Palace had 3,000 Venomhorn dragon members. If all the resources were used on them, the strength of these 3,000 Venomhorn dragons would not be lower than 5th level Undying God King. After all, they had used a lot of resources to improve them not long ago. Half a month later, get Demon Fiend to start parasitizing them. Yamada no Orochi said coldly. Wang Xian nodded his head plainly. Soon the half-a-month time arrived. Demon Fiend, what the hell are you doing? Only 7 9th level Undying God King abyssal species. Fuck, 7 is still too little. The closer we get to the center, the harder it is. I paid a huge price to get these 7. Moreover, you can totally improve your strength. Orochi looked at the corpses of the abyssal species and could not help but complain. Demon Fiend said speechlessly at the side. The harvest this time was 7 9th level Undying God King abyssal species and 88th level Undying God King abyssal species. The rest were about 10,000 Undying God King abyssal species. The harvest was already terrifying enough. Dragon King, it will be even harder to get more. The closer we get to the center, the stronger the abyssal species. It would be great if we could get half of this harvest next time. Demon Fiend said bitterly. Even though they were getting stronger, the abyssal species closer to the center were getting stronger too. The number of abyssal species was also getting bigger. Moreover, these abyssal species often fought with humans. It would be much more difficult to get more abyssal species, especially those with pinnacle Undying God King abyssal species. Don't worry, let's change our target and deal with the Imperial Court. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Deal with the Imperial Court? Dragon King, are we going to war with the Imperial Court? Demonfian's eyes flickered as he asked in shock. Our Dragon Palace is no match for the Imperial Court. There are some things that you can discuss with Orochi. He will tell you. Also, exchange some of these abyssal species crystals for merit points. Don't use Dujio's identity, and don't expose your identity as Dragon Palace. To avoid any situations, Wang Xian instructed Demon Fiend and the rest. Yes, Dragon King. Demon Fiend nodded. Thereafter, Orochi, Dujio and the other members of the Poison Department transformed into middle-aged elders and flew towards the planet where they could exchange for merit points and treasures. After a day, they exchanged the abyssal species crystals for elixirs and flew back. This is the last exchange. If we get more abyssal species corpses, we will bring them back to the Dragon Palace to absorb. Wang Xian looked at the elixir in his hand and mumbled. Chapter 27-26. Orochi, increase your strength first, said Wang Xian to Orochi after swallowing the elixir pills. The pills he had were enough to raise his strength to the peak Undying God King level. However, his improvement was not as great as Orochi's. After the Yamada no Orochi evolved, it could easily possess 9th order Undying God King realm experts. After parasitizing, Orochi could do a lot of things. It's Dragon King. Yamada no Orochi immediately nodded with excitement on his face. Boom. 10 minutes later, a terrifying aura burst out from Orochi's body. His body looked even more bizarre. If his body was said to be half liquid before, it was now pitch black like a gas. It was even more bizarre and terrifying. Hee. I feel so strong now. I can easily parasitize a 9th order God King realm expert. Orochi looked at his own body and roared with satisfaction. Dragon King, with my current strength, I can totally live in the body of an Imperial clan elder. Should I change my target? Orochi said with a smile. There's no need. It's better to parasitize the sect leader of the World's Edge sect. There are too many elders in the Imperial capital, about 200 of them. There's no need. Parasitizing the sect leader of the World's Edge sect will be enough to control the World's Edge. Wang Xian shook his head. All right then, Demon Fiend will be in charge of the parasitic world's Horizon powerhouse. Dujio and the other Ninth Order members will be in charge of the situation in the Abyss. Orochi nodded. All right, we'll let the 500 members parasitize the God King experts of the Imperial Court for now. Wang Xian nodded his head. The Imperial Dynasty's plan was being carried out bit by bit. It's Dragon King. Orochi nodded. Subsequently, Wang Xian continued to enhance the strength of the members of the poison-making division. Currently, the poison department had reached the peak of the Undying God King stage. Other than that, after expending all their ammunition, the poison department would have 10 level 9 Undying God Kings and 120 level 8 Undying God Kings. This power was extremely powerful. At their peak, the World's Edge sect only had 15 Ninth Order Immortal God King realm experts. Wang Xian discussed with Orochi, Dujio, and the rest, and came up with a series of plans. After that, Dujio led his men into the abyss once again. Orochi contacted his subordinates and flew toward the residence of the World Edge sect. He wanted to parasitize the world's Horizon sect master. On the other hand, Demon Fiend led his 500 subordinates and flew towards the Imperial Court's planets. Wang Xian sat there quietly waiting for news. Headmaster, 3 elders have come to pay their respects. A few hours later, in the mountain range where the experts of the World Edge sect lived. This was the planet where Protector D resided. No one dared to cause trouble on this planet. Now the remaining members of the World Edge sect lived here. Let the 3 elders in. The World's Edge sect master immediately said. Now in the entire Sky Edge sect, other than the Patriarch, the 4 of them were the strongest. There were some things that the 4 of them had to discuss together. He wasn't too surprised by the 3's arrival. Sect master. At the door, the 3 of them walked in side by side and spoke to the sect leader inside. I wonder what business the 3 of you have here to discuss. The Tianya sect master sighed with emotion. It's no big deal. I just want your life. An elder in the middle opened his mouth and said to the sect master of the World's Edge. The World's Edge sect master was stunned. At this instant, a black fog shrouded the World's Edge sect master. A few seconds later, the World's Edge sect master let out a sinister laugh. Greetings, sect master. The 3 World's Edge sect masters greeted him respectfully. Let me absorb the memories first. The World's Edge sect master sat there and absorbed the memories of this body. There's actually news about the Dragon Queen? Even the elders don't know about this. An hour later, the World's Edge sect master suddenly opened his eyes with radiance flickering in them. With a wave of his arm, a communication stone plate appeared in his hand. He immediately compiled a message and reported it. That's fast. At a spot in front of the abyss, Wang Xian smiled when he saw the series of messages. However, when he saw the contents, his eyes flickered. There wasn't much information. The first one was that Orochi was successful. The second one was about the current situation. It also mentioned the holy nation of a fallen god emperor on the Cold Night Island. The third one was about Qingyue Lingxiu, and the rest. A few years ago, Protector D of the Imperial Court had asked the World's Edge sect to capture a few people who owned a giant beast of the sky. And this giant beast of the sky was Xiaolan. The World's Edge sect had been capturing it for a year, but the giant beast of the sky had escaped many times. The experts from the World's Edge sect were shocked to discover that the giant beast of the sky had improved at a terrifying speed. After that, the giant beast of the sky escaped from the demonic island and flew in the direction of the Imperial Court. At this point, the World's Edge sect didn't continue their pursuit, but the Imperial Court did. According to the information that the World's Edge sect master knew, it seemed like the Imperial Court hadn't caught the giant beast of the sky and the few people. It seemed like they had entered the abyss. It's always been the imperial court that wants to kill Qingyue, Lingxiu, and the rest. Wang Xian's expression changed and was filled with violent killing intent. Hee. I didn't expect the greatest enemy to be the imperial court. Very good, very good. He murmured and slowly closed his eyes. It was hard to imagine how Qingyue, Lingxiu, and the rest survived the pursuit of the World's Edge sect and the imperial court when they were so weak. No one could hurt Qingyue, Lingxiu, and the rest. As long as there was someone, the Dragon Palace would make them pay a terrible price. The World's Edge sect was one. Their nightmare hadn't ended yet. The next one would be the imperial court. Mo Sha, after the Dragon Palace has upgraded the 3,000 venom-horned dragons, send another 500 to parasitize the experts of the imperial court. Yu Dujio, and the rest will plan well and hunt the experts of the imperial court. Wang Xian opened his eyes slowly and instructed Mo Sha, who was beside him. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Sha could feel the killing intent in Wang Xian's body. His heart skipped a beat as he replied immediately. It had been a long time since he sensed such intense killing intent from the Dragon King. It seemed like the imperial court had really angered the Dragon King. He took out the communication stone plate and immediately contacted his subordinates. Soon a message came from one of his subordinates. He had completed the first parasite. Dragon King, some of my subordinates have succeeded. As long as one parasite is successful, the rest will be much easier. Mo Sha received the message and immediately reported to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head as his eyes sparkled. He looked at the abyss in front of him. Was Qingyue and Lingxiu still in the abyss? How did they survive all these years? Were they all right? Chapter 27. As the days passed, the war that threatened the entire Imperial Star domain was still ongoing. Every day, there would be powerhouses dying, but every day, there would also be many powerhouses hunting down powerful abyssal species. During the war, with such resources, there were many powerhouses who rose to power. For example, an expert broke through from 7th Order Immortal King Realm to 8th Order. Another expert broke through from 8th Order to 9th Order. There was even a leader of a force that reached the pinnacle of Immortal King Realm. In this war, some people died while others rose. On the hero leaderboard, many experts had already shown their prowess. But many people were confused. Who was Dujio, who was first on the hero leaderboard? Who was Bachi, who was third? Who was Mo Sha, who was fourth? 7th, 10th, 20th, wait. Who were they? His mysterious identity had also caused a lot of heated discussion on Ji Now. What's the current situation? At the same time, in a main hall within the vast palace of the imperial court, more than 10 figures stood in front of the clouds. An illusory old man sat on a throne in front of them and asked faintly, "Founder, the situation is still stable. Although the Black Law abyssal demons are strong, we have the upper hand." An old man reported, "Great Ancestor, the abyss species of the giant beast system are expanding crazily. I've detected that there are Emperor God level abyss species of the giant beast system. Soon, we'll have to send more experts to suppress the Pingy Island. Otherwise, the people who are guarding the imperial court will be a little." At this moment, an old man reported, "The giant beast abyssal demons are growing too fast. What happened in the past has led to today's problems." The illusory figure on the throne murmured. One could see him frowning slightly. Clearly, he had thought of something that shocked him. "Let's see if we can add another Emperor God to Emperor God Yilung's Holy Kingdom. If there's one more, things will be much easier for us. We still need some time to prepare for Pingy Island." The illusory figure continued before disappearing. Below, the dozen old men also disappeared. "Dragon King, the 500 venom-horned dragons have all been parasitized. They are in different teams. In addition, I have contacted Dujio and asked them to prepare. The plan is in place." Mo Sha reported to Wang Xian at the front of the abyss. "Let's go." Wang Xian nodded and stood there quietly. "It's Dragon King." Demon Fiend nodded and took out a communication stone plate to send a message. "Kids, get ready." At this time, behind the asteroids in the abyss, Hundreds of thousands of Undying God King Abyssal species were waiting. 3 rank 9 Undying King Abyss species and 15 rank 8 Undying King Abyss species surrounded each other. An abyssal species in the center spoke in the human language. The one who spoke was Dugio. After spending some time with the Yaki Devil Fiend, he had learned some of their essence. Around them, the abyssal species let out low growls. Among this group of abyssal species, there were about 6,500 of them, and the rest were all true abyssal species. However, Dugio and the rest were being suppressed by the rank 9 Undying God King abyssal species, so they were 80% obedient. As for why it could not be 100% obedient, it was because with the intelligence of the abyss, it was impossible for it to be 100% obedient. But this was enough. Martial Uncle, do we have a target for this operation? After more than 10 hours, a group of more than 1,000 people flew into the abyss. A middle-aged man asked, "The target has been chosen. With our strength we can take care of it. Of course, we do not need to be careless. Everyone stay alert." The leading old man said. The 1,000 of them were all Undying God King level experts. The Imperial Court had millions of God King experts, and had developed for 500 to 600 million years. Within the huge Imperial Court, it was split into different clans and teacher clans. The clans were the direct descendants. As for the teacher clans, it was the master and the ancestor clans. After the Abyss War, most of the Imperial Court experts fought side by side with the clans and teacher clans. The 1,000 of them were all from the same teacher clans. They all had the same ancestor, and were usually close, with a senior leading them. We have a teacher uncle from the Imperial Shadow Department. It's so convenient. Beside him, an old man could not help but laugh. Let's go in. Get into formation and be on high alert. At this time, when the group entered the abyss, they immediately got into formation. Some were vigilant, some good at defense, some good at long-range attacks. It was clear. Although the abyss creatures knew how to make use of the terrain, compared to humans, their intelligence and teamwork were still far behind. The Imperial Court had specialized in powerful scouts, who had set up a perfect formation. When they worked together, they could usually fight against abyssal species that were 1.5 times, or even twice their number. This was also why the humans were slowly gaining the upper hand. Wang, among the 1,000 of them, a middle-aged man waved his hand, sending out information. We have a target. It's an hour away from us. Let's hurry over. There's only a 9th Order Undying God King. At the same time, somewhere in the abyss, Dugio looked at the communication stone plate in front of him, and transmitted to his subordinates. Let's go, let's hurry over. Roar roar. He roared and immediately flew towards one of the light spots on the communication stone plate. Fly deeper into the abyss, in case we meet other humans. Dugio continued to transmit, ordering the abyss creatures to lead the way. The abyss creatures did not hesitate and followed behind. Their speed was fast. In the abyss, some of the abyss creatures would at most roar a few times when they saw them, and would not attack them. Dugio replied, and after borrowing a path, he sped towards the target. The other party has 1,050 people, 1 9th Order Undying God King, 5 8th Order Undying God Kings, 23 7th Order Undying God Kings. They are much weaker than us. Don't let any of them go. Also, one of them has a brother. When the time comes, we can pretend to kill him. Dugio ordered as he flew. The members of the poison department replied. They are still 200 million kilometers away from us. Hide behind the meteorites. Don't expose yourselves. Dugio saw that they were getting closer, and immediately ordered his subordinates and abyss creatures. Roar roar. The group of abyss creatures roared in response, not daring to disobey their leader's orders. Let's go. Let's investigate the situation ahead. Don't get discovered. Dugio said to the other 2 Undying God King 9th stage abyss beasts. Yes. The 2 of them nodded and moved forward. Chapter 27-28. 1 second to remember wonderful pop-up window free reading. Everyone be careful. Ahead is the abyss race. There are 10 rank 8 Undying God Kings, 600 over Undying God Kings, and about 300,000 others. We must finish this quickly. When Du Jiu and the rest were scouting ahead, the old man's voice rang in everyone's ears. Uncle Master, we've discovered the abyssal race up ahead. Stay alert. Everyone get ready. One after another, orders rang out. The thousands of undying god kings revealed looks of excitement. At the forefront, more than a dozen people were observing the abyssal species in front of them, their eyes gleaming. 3 undying god king level 8 abyss species are in the middle. The other 2 are 50 million kilometers to the right. 60 million kilometers to the left. As the messages came in, everyone began to adjust their formation. There are a few abyssal species on guard. They are coming to our side. Attack. The order to attack was issued, and the orderly team immediately advanced toward the group of abyssal species. Kill. A cold voice came from the 9th Order Undying God King at the front, as he charged towards the 8th Order Undying God King abyss beasts on the left. The horrifying aura engulfed him. When the abyss monsters saw the humans that suddenly appeared, they immediately roared and went to greet them. Dumb animal. You actually dared to invade our imperial dynasty. Die. The group of imperial court experts immediately released terrifying attacks towards the group of abyssal species. Tens of thousands of abyssal species were killed in the blink of an eye. Under the circumstance of detecting in advance and suppressing their strength, it was much easier for them to hunt the abyssal species. This was also why the imperial dynasty was slowly gaining the upper hand. After all, the abyssal demons did not have the intelligence of humans. Being able to set up a favorable terrain was already their limit. It was impossible for them to form a military formation. As for their detection, the effect was incomparable to that of humans. I estimate that they will be able to kill all the abyss monsters in 5 minutes. Go to the back and prepare to cut off their retreat. The abyss monsters did not have powerful detection abilities, but the members of the narcotics department did. At this time, Du Jiu and 2 other members of the poison division were hiding behind a meteor, watching the battle from afar. Du Jiu and the rest were all undying god king level abyss beasts. With the scouting capabilities of the team ahead, they would not be able to find them. Yes, a member of the poison department nodded, and immediately flew to the back to gather a group of abyssal species. After that, Du Jiu ordered another member to scout the surroundings to ensure that no humans would come to support them when they made their move. Don't make a sound. Each of you will lead a small team to surround them and cut off their escape route. A group of abyssal species flew over, and Du Jiu immediately ordered the group of over 6,000 parasitic members. Roar. The group of parasitic members immediately let out a low growl in response, each leading a small team of abyssal monsters to fly forward to the right. At the front, the battle was still going on. At the rear, the members of the poison control department were leading the abyss species to weave a huge net. He quietly waited for their arrival. Die. Just as Du Jiu expected, after 5 minutes, all the abyss monsters were killed. Ha ha ha, a bunch of beasts, you dare to fight with us. An expert couldn't help but roar in excitement. Martial uncle, only a dozen or so were seriously injured. Not a single one died. Victory. A middle-aged man reported happily. All right, keep all the corpses of the abyss monsters. Let's go back and rest for a few days. The old man in the lead was also in a good mood. Yes. The rest of them nodded excitedly and kept all the spoils of war with smiles on their faces. Return. With a shout, a group of 1,000 people flew out of the abyss with smiles on their faces. Compared to when they came, they were much more relaxed now. Even their formation was a little loose. The old man in the lead didn't say anything. They hadn't fought for a long time, and there wouldn't be any danger on the way back. This is bad. Be careful. The group flew out. After flying for a few hundred kilometers, the old ancestor in the lead suddenly felt something amiss. A bad premonition came over him. His expression changed drastically as he immediately yelled loudly. However, as soon as he finished his sentence, a series of roars could be heard. Abyssal species quickly rushed out from behind the surrounding meteorites. The leader, Du Jiu, and the other 2 locked their gazes on the old man in the middle. Their eyes were filled with violent killing intent. There's an ambush from the Abyss monsters. How is this possible? Why are they lying in ambush around? Watch out. At this moment, the experts from the Imperial Court had a drastic change of expression as they raised their weapons. Roar, roar. But before they could react, the Abyss monsters had already charged towards them. This is bad. These abyssal species are very strong. We can't fight them head-on. Run. The old man in the lead shouted when he felt the terrifying aura coming from Dujio and the rest. 3 Ninth Order God King Realm abyssal species were more than enough to take his life. Moreover, he could sense that there were a total of 15 Eighth Order God King Realm abyssal species among them. They could easily crush them. They were at least 3 times stronger than them. This caused him to be filled with fear. How did this group of abyssal species suddenly appear behind them and ambush them? The abyssal species did not have such intelligence. But the scene in front of them forced them to believe it. Dujio and the rest locked onto the Ninth Order God King Realm Immortal King Realm expert. When they saw that he was trying to escape, they clawed at him. In terms of teamwork, they were definitely not something other abyssal species could compare to. Damn it, they actually sealed all my escape routes. These 3 abyssal species often cooperate with each other. Seeing the 3 abyssal species sealing him, his heart sank, and an ugly expression appeared on his face. He knew that he was in trouble this time, big trouble. Not good, there are too many abyssal species. The opponent is too strong. There are a few thousand undying God King Realm abyssal species. They actually have a dozen 8th Order God King Realm abyssal species. Save me, save me. At this time, a panicked voice came from the side, causing the old man's heart to sink. It's over. This time, not only would it be difficult for him to escape, the rest of them would also be killed. Roar! Dujio roared as the 3 of them surrounded the old man and attacked him ferociously. Below them, there were already experts from the Imperial Court dying. It was only a matter of time before all of them were wiped out. The Dragon Palace's revenge had officially begun. Chapter 27-29. The battle lasted for half an hour. The outcome was as expected. Over 100,000 abyss demons died, but none of the experts from the Imperial Court were spared. Half an hour is a little long. We are 3 times stronger than them, but it took us half an hour to wipe them out. We need to think about this. Our advantage lies in sneak attacks. While ensuring victory, we can use our spies to force a Ninth Order God King Realm Abyss Demon to retreat to the side of the experts from the Imperial Court before launching a sneak attack. In this case, we should be able to finish off a Ninth Order God King Realm expert 10 times faster. Dujio mumbled to himself as the battle ended. Third boss, we have collected all the corpses. We have also obtained many corpses of the abyss demons and many treasures from them. At this moment, a member of the poison-making department flew over and reported to Dujio. That's not bad. We can get 2 shares after killing them. Dujio revealed a smile. Let's go. Before Brother Demon Fiend and the rest contact us, we will hunt some abyss demons to replenish our strength, he said as he led the group of abyss demons away. Dragon King, the first team has been eliminated by Dujio and the rest. No one was spared. At the entrance of the abyss, Demon Fiend received Dujio's message and reported with a smile. Let's continue. Wuxia nodded his head. At this moment, he was like a big boss in the dark, watching as his subordinates killed everything. He chuckled. Next, when the abyss demons gained intelligence, and the spies of the abyss demons. When the experts from the Imperial Court entered the territory of the abyss demons, all of them were kept in the dark. All of this would result in a tragic battlefield. According to some news, many experts have fallen in the abyss over the past month. I heard that there are at least 10,000 of them. Many teams from the Imperial Court were annihilated. Many elders have fallen. The abyss is too dangerous now. Indeed, many experts have died. Did a powerful abyss demon appear in the abyss over the past month? A month had passed. The front line of the Imperial Court and the AI were panicking. During this period of time, the number of deaths suddenly increased. Even some of the experts, elders, and deacons in the Imperial Court could sense the number of deaths. Some clansmen and teachers' teams disappeared for several days, entering the abyss and never returning. This caused many experts to feel extremely fearful. With such a high death rate, who would still dare to enter the abyss? Some of the experts who had come to the imperial court to earn merits had even stopped entering the abyss after noticing some changes. This made the situation on the battlefield even more tense and dangerous. Everyone, what's the situation in the abyss recently? At this very moment, in a hall located on a planet, several old men slowly appeared. The last one to appear was an old man with long white hair and a walking stick. We didn't find anything in the abyss, but in the past month, more than 10 teams from the imperial court entered and didn't come out. There are already over 15,000 undying god kings that might have fallen inside. An old man frowned and said with a sullen face, "How many elders are missing?" The old man with the walking stick asked. 11 elders have fallen. The death rate has been too high recently. The situation is a little urgent. The old man shook his head and frowned. We can't let anything happen to the abyss here. Pingyi's war is about to erupt. We have to stabilize this place first. The old man with the walking stick said solemnly, I will personally head over to check in these 2 days. An old man said, You guys take care of things here. God Emperor Yi Lung's God country is about to open. The few of us are going to head in. The old man with the walking stick said, Granduncle, just focus on finding your fortune. Leave this place to us. An old man chuckled and said, Okay. The old man with the walking stick smiled and nodded before disappearing. Around him, half of the old men disappeared with him. Very quickly, there were only 5 people left in the hall. We have to check the situation in the abyss. Too many of our disciples have fallen. The old man who led the group of 5 said, I'll go check it out tomorrow. An old man on the left said, I will follow behind a team to see if there are any special abyss species. An old man on the right said, Okay, we have to stabilize this place. Otherwise, the war in Pingyi will break out, and it will be even more difficult. The few of them nodded and disappeared. Dragon King, we have a great harvest this time. We got a total of 15 ninth stage Immortal King corpses, 11 of which are Imperial Court elders. Du Jiao and the rest met up with Wang Xian at the entrance of the abyss, as they spoke excitedly. Du Jiao and the rest had stayed in the abyss for a month this time. They had collected over 20,000 Immortal King corpses. Most of them were the corpses of Imperial Court experts. Boss Dragon King, do you want to increase my strength? Mo Sha rubbed his hands and spoke to Wang Xian with a beaming face. Sure. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. After you increase your strength, you will enter the abyss and let Du Jiao handle the parasites in the Imperial Court. He added. I know. Mo Sha nodded and looked at Du Jiao. Take a break for now. We will take action after I have a breakthrough. Recently, Wang Xian and Mo Sha had been paying attention to the situation in the Imperial Court. At the same time, they were paying close attention to the information on the artificial intelligence. The Imperial Court had lost so many experts in the past month, and it had caused some panic. Many Imperial Dynasty experts reported this matter to the elders and protectors. They could guess that the Imperial Court would definitely do something. At the very least, they would send Pinnacle Immortal King experts to investigate. This required Venomhorn Dragon to be a Pinnacle Immortal King. Otherwise, there would be problems. Yes, Du Jiao nodded. Wang. At this moment, Wang Xian's communication stone plate vibrated. He squinted his eyes when he saw the message from Orochi. Emperor God Country Yi Lung is about to open. He looked at the message and murmured. Emperor God Country Yi Lung was a void god emperor a few 100 million years ago. The current Yi Lung Island was named after him. At the same time, the Yi clan were the descendants of Emperor God Country Yi Lung. Chapter 2730. Emperor God Yi Lung's God Nation was the Night Clan's most precious treasure. No one had been able to enter the center of the God Nation. The Deity Nation would open once every 100,000 years. According to rumors, whoever could enter the Deity Nation would have the chance to break through to the Void God Emperor realm and roam the void. Every time it opened, the Imperial Court, as the strongest force in the Imperial Star region, naturally had to send powerful cultivators in. The night race couldn't do anything about the Imperial Dynasty experts wanting to enter, so they just sucked up to them and welcomed them in to search for opportunities. The fact that the night race was so tactful meant that they had a good relationship with the Imperial Dynasty. This time, God Emperor Yi Lung's God Country opened once again. Imperial Court Undying God Kings had the right to enter. At the same time, Sky Edge's 2 old ancestors had the right to enter too. A remnant nation of a void God Emperor. This is not a small opportunity, Wang Xian murmured. Unfortunately, the Dragon Palace was not qualified to enter. The Night Clan and the Imperial Court would not allow the Dragon Palace to enter either. Continue to improve. These resources can greatly enhance the Dragon Palace again. He thought to himself. Mo Sha could reach the pinnacle of an Undying God King. Along with roving heavens of Baki Heaven Formation and Dragon Machine, Dragon Palace had 5 Undying God King pinnacle experts. Adding on the fact that the Heavenly Array could deal with a few at the same level, Dragon Palace could deal with 10 Undying God King peak experts. Of course, this had to be done in advance. As for the number of 9th Order God King Realm experts in the Poison Refining Department, there would be 14 of them. Other than them, the Dragon Palace had another 39th Order Undying God Realm experts. There would be 44 Type 9 powerhouses. This power was very strong. In the next half a month, the members of the Poison Manufacture Department all quietened down. Apart from the members of the Poison Manufacture Department parasitizing some high-ranking figures in the Imperial Court, there were no other gains. However, Wang Xian was still satisfied, even though he did not gain much from this. Over the past few times, the number of 8th Order God King Realm experts in the Poison Department had increased by more than 100. In this half a month, the Venomhorn Dragon had taken over 28th Order God King Realm experts from the Imperial Court. A Type 8 expert was considered a deacon in the Imperial Dynasty, and was considered a middle to upper echelon. What's going on? There's nothing special happening at the Imperial Court? Why did we suddenly lose so many people last month? During this half a month, the 2 elders from the Imperial Court had investigated several times, but to no avail. Moreover, during this half a month, the casualties of some Imperial Dynasty teams that entered the abyss were similar to before. Such a situation caused the protectors of the Imperial Court to frown. It would be fine if it was just an accident last month. But if it wasn't, then it would be dangerous. It showed that a pair of eyes were watching them. Let's observe in secret for a few more days. The Guardians could not keep investigating the abyss. If they entered the abyss often, they would attract the attention of the Peak Abyss species. Once they were locked onto by a few God King Peak Abyss species, they would be in grave danger. Peak Undying God King. At this moment, within the Dragon Palace, Missouri Shah was hovering above the dragon transformation pool with an excited expression as he roared. Let's go. Now that your strength has increased, it will be safer to enter the dark abyss, said Wang Xian to Mo Sha with a smile. Wang Xian had also returned to the Dragon Palace during this half a month. Alright, Dragon King. With my current strength, I can organize a huge group of tens of millions of abyssal species in the abyss, said Mo Sha with a smile. Peak Undying God King was the peak combat power in the abyss battlefield. If he could find an opportunity to parasitize a peak abyss species, he would be able to control a huge group of hundreds of millions of abyssal species. Peak Undying God King Peak Abyss species won't be that easy to parasitize. Also, we have to pay attention to the God Emperor level abyssal species, said Wang Xian plainly. Don't worry, Dragon King. I will consider it. Mo Sha nodded. Alright, let's go. Wang Xian nodded and flew towards the Imperial Court battlefield with the 9,000 members of the poison-making department. In the entire Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Turtle, Tianjun, Orochi, and Mo Sha were the 3 that he trusted the most. In terms of cunningness, Tianjun might not even be as good as Orochi and Mo Sha. These 2 guys could be described as pure baddies. Without the Dragon Palace and Wang Xian to restrain them, they would probably be thieves and criminals in the universe. The members of the poison-making department entered the mother nest while Wang Xian, Tianjun, and Emo Sha teleported through the teleportation formation. Boom boom boom. TSK TSK TSK. All the trash in the imperial court, just wait for your death. TSK, TSK, one day, we will annihilate all of you. When Wang Xian and the rest came out from the teleportation formation planet at the front line, they heard a deafening roar. Wang Xian and the rest were taken aback when they realized that the planet beneath them was slowly cracking apart. They moved and quickly dodged to the side, following which, a voice filled with sarcasm was heard. Hearing this voice, the people on all the surrounding planets were slightly shocked, and their faces revealed shocked expressions. You're courting death. How dare you steal from our imperial court? Stay. At this moment, 2 angry voices were heard from a planet. In an instant, 5 majestic figures flew out and attacked from afar. TSK TSK TSK. Do you think you can stop me? Our revenge has just begun. Imperial court, wait for your annihilation. You will pay a heavy price for what you have done. The sarcastic voice continued to be heard from afar, and got further and further away. The 5 guardians of the imperial court left behind a trail of terrifying aura, and chased after them. Gosh, what's going on? Stealing from the imperial court? So fierce? Which hero is this? He's so cool. He's my soulmate. When Emo Sha, who was at the side, heard these extremely arrogant words, he exclaimed in astonishment. Who in the entire imperial star domain would dare to steal from the imperial court under the protection of 5 guardians of the imperial court? This voice and this aura. Wang Xian, who was hovering in the air, looked in the direction where the voice disappeared and frowned. This voice, this tone, and the faint aura that lingered gave him a very familiar feeling. He remembered that when he was in the boundless star region, someone stole the treasure of the eternal thunderclap. At that time, the thunderclap god was infuriated, and this aura gave Wang Xian a sense of familiarity with the source. It was as though this aura came from his body. Is it him? Back then, out of the 9 dragon souls on Earth, 8 of them were obtained by me. Only one is outside. He's also the only one who obtained the Earth Dragon Soul, the Earth Dragon Emperor. Chapter 2731. A familiar voice, a familiar aura. The Earth Dragon Emperor could be said to be the true son of the god dragon, since he could fight against 5 peak undying god kings. It meant that he had completely become an Earth god dragon. Is the Earth Dragon Emperor here related to Qingwei and the others? Wang Xian thought back to what the voice said and muttered. Our revenge has just begun. The revenge of the Earth Dragon Emperor? Who else would take revenge? Who is that? He actually robbed all the treasures in the Merit Exchange Hall. I heard that the spatial rings used to store the corpses of the abyss monsters were all stolen by that person. Which faction is he from? He actually dared to do such a crazy thing and steal the treasures of the imperial court. SSS. A peak undying god king. That person is a peak undying god king. Does he have a feud with the imperial court? There are many treasures in the Merit Exchange Hall, especially the corpses of the abyss monsters. Who knows how long they have been here? At this moment, shocked discussions broke out. Someone dared to rob the imperial court. This was shocking news. The imperial court had stood in the imperial star region for hundreds of millions of years and dominated the imperial star region for hundreds of millions of years. It was one of the most powerful forces in the entire starry sky. Someone actually dared to cause trouble in the Void God Emperor's faction. He even said that he wanted to wipe out the imperial court. One could only imagine how shocking this was. The entire teleportation planet has been destroyed, and all the Merit Exchange Hall has been robbed. What a talent! Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings. When he saw that the entire planet had cracked apart, and the halls had been destroyed, he revealed a faint smile. Indeed a talent. Demon Fiend was slightly impressed too. This thieving skill was really high. Let's go, let's continue to make the imperial court happy. Wang Xian's lips curled up, and he flew towards the abyss. Demon Fiend and the others followed behind. Damn it, that damn fellow. All the abyss monsters that we have accumulated over the past 2 months have been stolen by him. In front of the starry sky, The nameless old man stood in the void and roared with an ugly expression. It had been a long time since they were so furious. Even during the Battle of the Abyss, even when a batch of experts went missing in the abyss half a month ago, they weren't this furious. This time they were really furious. Firstly, someone had provoked the imperial dynasty. Secondly, their losses this time were too great. All the abyss species killed by the powerhouses over the past 2 months were gathered at the transmission planet. After they exchanged for merit points, the corpses of the abyss species had been placed there. To them, would anyone dare to cause trouble in the imperial dynasty? No one. Therefore, they never thought that someone would steal all the bodies of the abyssal species today. There were also a large number of medicinal pills and other treasures. Even the imperial court would feel pained by the loss of these items. If their god emperor and great ancestor knew about this, they would definitely be furious. It's that giant beast abyss type guy. I didn't expect him to cross such a long distance to come to our side. Damn it. So many of our imperial court experts died half a month ago. It must be him. An old man said with a face full of killing intent. The giant beast-type abyss species were the biggest mistake that our imperial court made back then. They were also our biggest negligence. However, it won't be long before we destroy all of them. An old man roared with killing intent. Let's go back. This time it was our negligence. An old man's eyes flashed as he said. He turned around and flew towards the front lines of the imperial court. The other 4 followed behind helplessly. Little ones, follow me. This time, I want to parasitize the undying god king peak abyss species. Watch my performance. At the front of the abyss, Demon Fiend led 8,000 of his subordinates into the abyss with fighting spirit. Wang Xian looked on quietly from the back. In the next few days, everyone was still shocked by the imperial court being robbed. I was discussing this matter. The situation in the abyss was much calmer. What Wang Xian found interesting was that the imperial court released a piece of news. Half a month ago, a large number of disciples died, and it was related to the person who stole the imperial court's treasures. When Wang Xian saw this news, he was stunned and his face was filled with shock. He didn't expect the imperial court to push the blame to the Earth Dragon Emperor. But looking at the current situation, only the Earth Dragon Emperor had the motive. Who would have thought that the Dragon Palace's poison department existed? It's good to blame it on the Earth Dragon Emperor. He smiled lightly and sat in front of the abyss entrance. He looked at the information on the AI and occasionally communicated with Demon Fiend and the 8 Branches sect. Currently, the 8 Branches sect was Sky Edge's sect leader, and it was fine. Moreover, half a month ago, the 2 old ancestors of Sky Edge went to Cold Night Island to enter the God Emperor's God Kingdom. If he wanted to, he could wipe out Sky Edge at any time. However, the 2 old ancestors weren't killed, and the 8 Branches sect didn't wipe out the remaining disciples and experts of Sky Edge. Time passed day by day. In his words, Demon Fiend was still developing. They led their subordinates to infiltrate a large abyss race. The entire race numbered close to 100 million, and the leader was an undying god king peak abyss species. He was thinking of a way to parasitize this undying god king peak abyss species. Based on his plan, he would need some time to gain the trust of this undying god king peak abyss species, and find a chance to use poison to heavily injure it. After that, he would use the life force fluid to recover to his peak. This was Demon Fiend's plan. Wang Xian didn't rush him. Once he parasitized the undying god king peak abyss species, it would be much easier for him to hunt the imperial court experts. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Rumble. You are my descendant and qualified to inherit my mantle. Half a month later, Cold Night Island. In the center of Cold Night Island, a rain field covered a radius of several billion kilometers. This region was covered in rain all year round. The vast rain had been falling for hundreds of millions of years. At this moment, at the center of the rain region, a gray palace stood tall. The entire palace had 81 side halls. The central hall was 10,000 miles wide. The palace wasn't very big compared to the entire rain region. However, it was giving off an extremely vast divine radiance. The god nation, which was dead silent just a moment ago, was now radiating with light. The surrounding rainwater also slowly turned into a misty mist. At this moment, a voice that was filled with pressure reverberated throughout the entire region. After hearing this voice, the millions of people around the rain region shivered. Someone had inherited the mantle of the God Emperor. A God Emperor was about to be born. Chapter 2732. You are my descendant. Do you have the right to inherit my legacy? What is this? This means that our Night Clan will have an Emperor God. Ha ha ha, the Night Clan is blessed. Ha ha ha, we have an Emperor God. I wonder which old ancestor will inherit Ancestor Yi Lung's legacy. That's great, that's great. Our Night Clan will be able to rebuild our glory. Emperor God, Void Emperor. Every time the God Emperor's divine kingdom opened around the Rain Domain, it was a crucial event for the entire Night Clan. They prayed that an old ancestor would inherit the legacy and rebuild their glory. This time, an old ancestor had finally succeeded. Buzz! At this moment, the place in front of them trembled. The gate of the palace at the top of the God Nation opened slowly. A dozen figures flew out. Congratulations to Night Clan, old ancestor Yi Yuan, for obtaining the inheritance and inheriting the former emperor's legacy. A group of people flew out, and some protectors of the imperial court congratulated them. Ha ha ha, Big Brother has inherited the legacy. Our Night Clan finally has an Emperor God. Among the dozen or so people who flew over, an old man roared with a flushed face. Congratulations to old ancestor for inheriting the legacy and becoming an emperor. Congratulations to old ancestor for inheriting the legacy and becoming an emperor. Millions of people immediately knelt down in the direction of the Void God Nation and shouted excitedly. Ha ha ha. I will inherit the legacy and rebuild the glory of the Night Clan. Thank you, Imperial Court, for taking care of us. Imperial Court will be our best ally in the future. It's all thanks to the help of the two old ancestors of the Sky Edge sect that I was able to obtain the inheritance. From now on, the Sky Edge sect will be our most loyal friend. The Sky Edge sect's matters will be our Night Clan's matters. All of you follow my orders. At this moment, a loud voice was heard from the highest palace in the God Emperor's kingdom. As soon as he finished speaking, two old ancestors flew out from inside. Both of their eyes were filled with excitement, and their bodies were extremely excited. They had been very lucky to enter the God Emperor's kingdom and made it to the end. However, they weren't the descendants of Emperor God Yi Lung, so they weren't qualified to inherit the God Emperor's legacy and the Void God Nation. However, they had helped an old ancestor of the Night Clan to become an emperor. Moreover, they had agreed that the Night Clan would help the Sky Edge sect with something. The Night Clan's old ancestor Yi Yuan was naturally excited and agreed, without any hesitation. He directly promised that the Night Clan and the Sky Edge sect would be the best of friends. In the future, the Sky Edge sect's business would be his business. To be able to obtain the promise of a Void God Emperor, this trip was a huge one. In the future, their sect would be second only to the Imperial Court and the Night Clan in the entire Imperial Star region. The rise of the World Edge sect was just around the corner. All of you obey my command. Everyone from the Night Clan responded loudly. Everyone in the Night Clan knew what the birth of a Void God Emperor signified. Naturally, they obeyed their ancestors' orders 100%. After I go into seclusion for a few months, I will raise the Void Divine Kingdom. After a final sound came from within the palace, the doors of the palace slowly closed. Congratulations, everyone of the Night Clan. We will take our leave now. When God Emperor Yi Yuan raises the Void Divine Kingdom, our great ancestor will come to congratulate him. The group of Imperial Court protectors cupped their hands towards the few old ancestors of the Night Clan and left. Protectors of the Imperial Court, take care. The old ancestors of the Night Clan cupped their hands with smiles on their faces. Two from the World Edge sect. This time, my big brother can inherit the legacy of the ancestor. Thank you for your help. In the future, the World Edge sect will be the benefactor of the Night Clan. After the protectors of the Imperial Court left, the old ancestors of the Night Clan immediately looked at the two old ancestors of the World Edge sect, who were faintly disappearing in front of the divine kingdom. They said very politely and enthusiastically. They also knew that the reason why Yi Yuan could become a god emperor this time was because of the help of these two old ancestors. Yi Yuan would naturally repay them, and the Night Clan would naturally repay them as well. The legacy of the ancestor of the Night Clan can only be inherited by the people of the Night Clan. We only helped a little. The two old ancestors of the World Edge sect replied politely. Haha, we of the Night Clan will not forget your kindness. Our God Emperor also said that in the future, your matters are our matters. We of the Night Clan know that some small matters have happened to the World Edge sect. Don't worry, we of the Night Clan will help you settle it. One of the old ancestors of the Night Clan said with a relaxed smile. Thank you, everyone of the Night Clan. When old ancestor Sky Edge and the rest heard this, they clenched their fists and bowed to express their gratitude. Ha ha ha, we should be the ones thanking the two of you. The people of the Night Clan laughed. Father, grandfather, the old ancestor is going to become a god emperor. That's great, that's great. At this time, a young man walked over excitedly and said to the current clan leader of the Night Clan. Yes, young king. After your old ancestor holds up the divine kingdom, I will ask him to help you increase your strength. The god emperor's means are unpredictable. He can directly raise you to the undying god king realm. The clan leader of the Night Clan rubbed the young man's head with a smile. Young King Yi was the first child he had after breaking through to the pinnacle of the undying god king realm. It could be said that he had a son at an old age, and he doted on him a lot. This time, it was his direct ancestor who had broken through. His status, and that of his son were no longer the same as before. Yes, thank you, father. Young Emperor Ye's eyes were filled with excitement. Now that the old ancestor had become a god emperor, his status would undergo an earth-shattering change. In the past, if he was the young master of the Night Clan, and had a distinguished status, some experts of the imperial court, and some disciples of the emperor's daughters, could ignore him, and even offend him. The experts from the other great sects could also completely disregard them. But it was different now. His old ancestor was a god emperor. Now, except for the descendants of the god emperor, and the top experts of the imperial court, no one in the entire Imperial Star region dared to disrespect him. The leader of the large sects, the old ancestors of the large sects, they had to be polite when they met him. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. At this time, his eyes flashed with a hint of malice. Not long ago, it was him who forced him to kneel and humiliated him. This hatred, his eyes flashed with a cold light as he looked at the Sky Edge old ancestor and the others. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The Sky Edge sect had a feud with the Dragon Palace, and so did he. I want the Dragon King to kneel in front of me and beg for mercy. And the Emperor Star Princess, young King Yi thought. What happened on the Cold Night Island in the Rain region wasn't announced immediately. The current Yi Yuan of the Night Clan hadn't truly stepped into the God Emperor realm. He still needed some time to absorb. When they became enemies, it would be the time for the world to celebrate. Wang Xian didn't know what happened on the Cold Night Island. He also didn't know that the Dragon Palace was a threat. But Wang Xian got a piece of good news from Demon Fiend. In the abyss, a peak undying God King Abyss species raised its head excitedly and took out a communication stone plate to send messages. Chapter 2733. Demon Fiend succeeded. At the front of the abyss, Wang Xian smiled when he saw the message Demon Fiend sent. After more than half a month, he hid beside a pinnacle God King Abyss species for more than 10 days. Today, he finally managed to parasitize it. After parasitizing, Demon Fiend also controlled the entire race. Among the 100 million abyssal species, there were over 10,000 Immortal King and 10 Level 9 Immortal King. These 10 were all parasitized. Demon Fiend could do much more after controlling an abyss species. At least, even if 2 or 3 pinnacle Immortal King experts from the Imperial Court entered the abyss, Demon Fiend wouldn't be afraid. In the abyss, he knew how to use the terrain better than the other abyssal species. Dujio, contact Demon Fiend and continue the hunt, said Wang Xian to Dujio with flickering eyes. Yes, Dragon King, I'm already in contact with Demon Fiend. Duju nodded and said, the Imperial Dynasty will suffer even more losses this time. Wang Xian's eyes shone coldly. Now that the 1,000 experts from the poison department had parasitized the various teams, the Abyss had sufficient strength. With them working together, as long as they entered the Abyss, they wouldn't be able to come out alive. What happened next was just as Wang Xian had predicted. In the next 5 days, 3 teams from the Imperial Court entered the Abyss. 3 teams, about 2,000 people, were surrounded and killed by Demon Fiend. With Demon Fiend's command and Venom Horn's help, it was a piece of cake to kill them. Moreover, the death of 2,000 experts in just 5 days was too short and didn't cause any commotion. However, on the 5th day, Wang Xian suddenly received a piece of bad news from Orochi. Dragon King, it's bad. Old ancestor Yi Yuan of the Night Clan is about to ascend to the Emperor realm. He only became a god emperor because of the help of the 2 old ancestors from Sky Edge. The 2 old ancestors from Sky Edge said that Sky Edge's matter is Night Clan's matter. The Night Clan will help Sky Edge to deal with Dragon Palace. They even said that the God Emperor will kill us. Also, old ancestor Sky Edge and young master Yi Xiaohuang of the Night Clan came over to discuss revenge. That brat Yi Xiaohuang was disrespectful to you. Dragon King, do you have any instructions? When Wang Xian saw the news, he was slightly taken aback. His expression turned extremely solemn. An expert from the Night Clan was about to become an emperor god, and he would help the Sky Edge sect to deal with the Dragon Palace. A divine emperor is helping the World's Edge Great Sect. Wang Xian's face darkened as he knitted his eyebrows. This was a huge crisis for the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, the Imperial Court has always had a good relationship with the Night Clan. Now that the Night Clan has a god emperor, even if the Night Clan attacks us, the Imperial Court will not say anything. They might even agree. However, Dragon King, I have an idea. If we can use the parasites on the 2 patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect, we can change the situation. Orochi continued to send messages over. Wang Xian was deep in thought. Did they say when they attacked us? Wang Xian asked Orochi with a solemn face. Dragon King, according to the news, they might attack us after Yi Yuan of the Night Clan becomes a god emperor. According to old ancestor Sky Edge, Yi Yuan will need a few more months to become a god emperor. During these few months, we must make our preparations. Orochi replied. A few months. Wang Xian frowned slightly. If he could use the parasites on the 2 patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect in a few months' time, it was totally possible. This way the crisis could be resolved. It shouldn't be a big problem, he murmured. Currently, the resources of Demon Fiend were enough for the Dragon Palace to produce 2 peak Immortal God King experts. With Orochi and the others as spies, it would not be difficult to use the parasites on the 2 patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect. Pay attention to the news from the Night Clan. We have to use the parasites on the 2 patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect. Wang Xian sent a message to Orochi, asking him to pay attention to the situation. Yes, Orochi nodded. The alliance between the Sky Edge sect and the Night Clan, and an expert from the Night Clan had become a Void God Emperor, brought some pressure to Wang Xian. Sky Formation, how many peak Immortal God King experts do you think we need to fight against a Void God Emperor? Wang Xian looked at Sky Formation at the side and asked. Dragon King, there's a huge gap between the Void God Emperor and Undying God King levels. However, for an existence that has just stepped into the Void God Emperor realm, if I were to have 10 roving heavens working together, I would definitely be able to fight against a First-Order Void God Emperor. Sky Formation pondered for a while and said, under normal circumstances, 10 Dragon Palace members of the same level could fight against someone 1 level higher than them. But there might be more of such a realm. 10. Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Other than Sky Formation, the Dragon Palace only had 4. It would be difficult to add another 6 in a few months' time. Hurry up and improve, Wang Xian murmured. Once they became enemies with the Imperial Court, the Dragon Palace would have to face the entire Imperial Star Domain. By then, the pressure would be even greater. The current Dragon Palace was still too weak to face such a colossus. At least, Not even half of the 400,000 members of the Dragon Palace were divine kings. Just the imperial court alone had millions of divine kings. Wang Xian did not know the exact number. In the next 10 days, Demon Fiend and Du Jie worked together and started a frenzied massacre. After a dozen or so days passed, the imperial dynasty sensed something else. The number of experts in the imperial court was decreasing at a terrifying rate. In the past 20 days, none of the imperial court experts who entered the abyss came out. It was the same situation as a month ago. According to the feedback from the disciples, all the teams and experts that entered the imperial court were killed. The same thing happened to the Night Clan too. Moreover, we discovered something. Those teams that didn't belong to the imperial court or the Night Clan were mostly fine. On a planet at the front lines of the imperial court, 8 old men stood in a palace. One of them said with a bitter expression, "Is it that guy?" An old man beside him said with a gloomy expression, "I don't know. In just 20 days, we lost over 20,000 Undying God King experts and over 100,000 Divine Master level disciples." The old man continued to speak. "Since the start of the Abyss War, we have lost over 70 to 80,000 Divine King level disciples. Damn it, let's go into the abyss and kill them." An old man in the middle roared furiously. Chapter 2734. The 8 of us can't all charge in, otherwise, the same situation as before might happen again. At most 2 or 3 of us will enter the abyss. If we fight, it's best not to have more than 5 people. Within the palace, an old man said. The other 7 people's faces darkened as they slowly nodded their heads with unsightly expressions. If too many God King Peak experts entered the abyss, it might attract the attention of the black magic type Abyss God Emperor. If such an existence flew over, it could easily kill them. Even if the God Emperor level existence didn't charge over, as long as it roared, it could instantly command all the God King Peak Abyss creatures to attack. When the Abyss War broke out, the 10 protectors of the Imperial Court charged into the battlefield to kill the Abyss creatures. However, a roar came from the Abyss, and all the Abyss creatures attacked. One protector died under the combined attack of the God King Peak Abyss creatures. Hence, the Imperial Court didn't dare to send large numbers of God King Peak experts in to kill. The 2 of us will lead a group of 200,000 disciples into the Abyss and kill a large Abyss creature to relieve some pressure. An old man looked to the side and said, "Sure, the 2 of us together." The other old man immediately nodded. "Be careful. We will send 2 more people to follow behind the other disciples and see what's going on. Who is targeting us? Or is it a special Abyss creature?" The other said with twinkling eyes. "All right, let's split up." The group nodded and prepared to move. At the same time, Du Jie also received the news from Venomhorn Dragon. Recently, many Deacon Elders had reported to the Protectors about the deaths of large numbers of teams. The Imperial Court team had entered for more than 20 days, and the Abyss creatures never returned. There was definitely something fishy going on. The Imperial Court would definitely be cautious and investigate. When they started to form a group of 200,000 people, Du Jie also received the news. After the news was sent to Emo Shah, Emo Shah's expression turned serious. 2 Undying God King Peak experts are leading a team into the abyss? Other than them, there might be other God King Peak experts doing other things. We need to be careful, he murmured, his eyes twinkling. Why not find allies and fight them head-on? Emo Shah squinted his eyes twinkling. After staying in the abyss for more than 2 months, he had some understanding of the situation nearby. Currently, there were a total of 15 Undying God King Peak abyssal species here. At the same time, there were more than 10 huge abyssal species. The largest race had at least 1 billion abyssal species, with 3 Undying God King Peak abyssal species leading them. The other Peak God King Realm abyssal species experts all had at least 100 million abyssal species subordinates. They each had their own positions, and many of their subordinates were free to move around. If they could persuade a few abyssal races, they would directly charge over when the Peak God King powerhouses of the Imperial Court arrived. Who's afraid of who? It's totally doable. We can bluff them. As long as 2 or 3 tribes agree, even if they send 3 or 4 peak God King experts, we won't be afraid. Who knows? We might even be able to kill a peak God King expert of the imperial court. Emosha murmured. Very soon, a few hours later, the Fiend Demon sect received news that the 2 guardians of the imperial court had already organized 200,000 disciples and experts to fly towards the abyss. More than 20,000 undying God Kings. The rest were Eternal God Lord level 8 and above. They had locked onto a race that had a peak God King Abyss species at the border. However, they didn't seek to kill that peak God King Abyss species. They just wanted to kill all its subordinates. Hearing this news, Emosha squinted his eyes. His figure flashed, and he quickly flew towards the nearest large abyssal race. Emosha flew over and roared at the peak God King Abyss species. That peak God King Abyss species saw him flying over, and its cold eyes stared at him as it let out a warning. Between the abyssal species, if it wasn't for God Emperor level existences suppressing them and ordering them not to kill each other, they would have killed each other before the humans even had to deal with them. Even with a God Emperor level abyss species suppressing them, the races were still filled with vigilance. It was hard for 2 races to help each other and work together. There's a human expert leading a large number of experts to attack a race. Let's go and kill them together. Emosha sent a message. Roar, roar. That peak undying God King Abyss species roared and stared at him coldly without any response. Emosha was helpless and continued to use his silver tongue. He roared at that peak undying God King Abyss species for more than 10 minutes, and that peak God King Abyss species finally showed a hesitant look. Quick, brothers, let's surround them, kill the human experts and devour them. Delicious food. Emosha continued to speak to that abyss species. Roar. After close to 20 minutes, that peak God King Abyss species was finally tempted, and it roared. Quick, call your brothers, we'll head over immediately. Delicious food is waiting for us. Emosha roared with a dry mouth. Roar, roar. That peak undying God King Abyss species turned around and roared at its subordinates. Behind, the group of abyss species roared in unison. Roar. That abyss species stared at Emosha and signaled for him to lead the way. Emosha felt slightly helpless and immediately nodded. He led the way and also called his 100 million abyss species underlings. Originally, he wanted to persuade a few more peak undying God King Abyss species. But after seeing this situation, he completely dispelled that thought. Unless one used strong martial prowess to order them, it would be too difficult to persuade a few peak God King Abyss species to move together. Moreover, to Emosha, these abyss species were too brainless. If you lead your underlings to attack, you would have to stab them in the back secretly. This abyss species was simply shouting, I want to stab you from a distance of 100 meters. Wasn't this telling the opponent clearly? However, Emosha had no choice. Abyss species of the same level wouldn't listen to his orders and wouldn't care about him at all. It was already not bad that he could convince it to move together. We will lock onto that peak undying God King Abyss species and leave the rest to you. Wipe out this group of races and don't leave a single one alive. At this moment, the 2 protectors of the imperial court had already led 200,000 disciples into the abyss. They had locked onto a large abyss species. This battle was a battle of morale, to raise the morale of the imperial court disciples. Chapter 2735. Kill, with the protector here, let's wipe out these abyss monsters. Kill. What happened in the abyss last time, and this time had indeed caused many imperial court experts to feel fearful. In just 2 short times, over 30,000 imperial dynasty God King experts had fallen. Among them, the elder-level powerhouses had all died. Many imperial court experts were already fearful of the abyss species, because the next time they entered the abyss, they would be the ones disappearing. This time, the protector personally led them to kill the abyss monsters. Many experts understood that this was to increase the morale of the imperial dynasty experts. Under the leadership of the 2 elders, the experts and disciples of the imperial dynasty were filled with confidence. staring at the group of more than 100 million abyss species in front of them. All the experts and disciples charged forward. Restrain that bastard. The two protectors stared coldly at the peak undying god king abyss monster and charged over. Roar roar. In the center of the abyss monsters, the peak undying god king abyss monster stared coldly at the two imperial dynasty experts. It didn't fear them at all and charged over. A terrifying aura spread in all directions. With a violent roar, it ordered all its subordinates to tear apart the humans in front of them. All of a sudden, deafening roars reverberated across billions of kilometers. Kill kill kill. The experts of the imperial dynasty locked onto the powerful abyss species one by one. An overwhelming amount of energy covered the area in front of them. Battle erupted. This level of battle was considered a large-scale battle. But such battles had happened dozens of times since the war broke out. This wasn't the first time the imperial dynasty protectors led teams into the abyss to kill abyss monsters. Some of the smaller abyssal species in the surroundings immediately hid when they saw such power. Kill kill. We are suppressing them from all sides. The advantage of humans was that they knew how to make use of their own advantages. When the enemy is weak, we fight. When the enemy is strong, we retreat. It was the same for the imperial dynasty. They knew that these races weren't as strong as their 200,000 strong army, which was why they attacked. The abyss monsters were stunned. In such a situation, they wanted to tear apart all the humans and swallow them. In an instant, the imperial dynasty's side was suppressed and many of the abyss monsters were killed. Ha ha ha, awesome. Kill kill kill. The imperial court experts hunted down the abyss demons, one after another with fighting spirit on their faces. Powerful weapons were arranged in teams to form a phalanx defense. The abyss monsters could not attack them at all. This made the imperial dynasty experts' eyes shine with excitement. Above, the undying god King Peak Abyss Seed was fighting against the two imperial court protectors, occasionally letting out heaven-shaking roars. However, under the restraint of the two protectors, it could only passively resist. The two protectors also knew that it would be difficult to kill him, so they did not risk their lives. The battle continued. In half an hour, at least 40 million abyssal species had been killed. Fuck these idiots. They know they can't win, yet they don't run. At this moment, Demon Fiend, who had tricked a group of abyssal creatures, led a group of abyssal creatures and flew over to the battlefield. When he saw the situation on the battlefield, he couldn't help but complain. If he were to encounter such a situation, he would definitely lead his subordinates to escape immediately. Moreover, he would escape to other abyssal species. Would humans still dare to chase after him then? Big brother, lead your subordinates and charge over. I will block their path of retreat. Demon Fiend immediately roared towards the peak undying god King Abyss Seed. However, the peak undying god King Abyss Seed seemed to not hear him. It stared at the battlefield with bloodthirsty eyes and roared. The subordinates behind it also raised their heads and roared. It was as if they were telling the other party that they were here. Demonfian's face turned black when he heard their roars. If they knew how to work together and surround them from the back, wouldn't they be able to kill them all at once? Damn, what idiots! Demon Fiend roared and ordered his subordinates to follow behind him. He flew towards the path of retreat of the Imperial Court experts. What he wanted was to kill the Imperial Court experts. As for the two Imperial Court protectors, they were not strong enough to kill them. Damn, why are there other races coming to support? At this moment, the two protectors who were restraining the peak undying god King Abyss Seed heard the roar, and their expressions changed. Why are there other abyssal species coming to support? Don't they not support without orders from experts? What is going on? Did they evolve? The two Imperial Court protectors couldn't help but roar. In the past, the abyssal species rarely cooperated with each other. As for such support, there was even less of it. Why were there suddenly strong races coming to support? This made them suspect whether the abyssal species had evolved. The powerful abyssal species weren't stupid. It was just that they lived in an environment filled with bloodshed, killing and devouring to evolve. They basically didn't communicate with each other. The strong ruled, so they didn't scheme against each other. Only kill kill kill. When fighting humans, the powerful abyssal species evolved and knew how to support. They guessed. If Demon Fiend knew what they were thinking, he would definitely spit out blood. In the mind of the powerful abyssal species, there were a few orders from the God Emperor level abyssal species. One was to stop them from killing each other. The other was to help each other. The abyssal species followed the first order, but didn't follow the second. In the bones of the abyssal species, other abyssal species were also prey. It was basically impossible for them to cooperate with each other like humans did. Maybe the God Emperor level abyssal species knew but didn't care. Stop them. We can't let that peak undying God King abyssal species charge into our Imperial Court army. An Imperial Court protector roared with an ugly expression. They realized a very serious problem. Maybe the abyssal species' intelligence had increased. Maybe this was also the reason why so many Imperial Court disciples were killed. All Imperial Court disciples, retreat from the abyss, retreat from the abyss. Another Imperial Court old ancestor immediately ordered. The expedition this time had run into trouble. Shit, another two powerful large abyssal species are charging over. Maintain the formation and retreat. Retreat from the abyss. Immediately, the dozen or so elders who were leading the group of 200,000 people immediately gave their orders loudly. They were caught off guard by the sudden attack of the two large abyssal species. Chapter 2736. The 200,000 experts of the Imperial Court looked solemnly at the abyss race that was attacking them. Under the obstruction of the elders, they retreated one by one. At this moment, Demon Fiend and his underlings were about to reach their rear. Demon Fiend wanted to cut off their retreat, but the experts of the Imperial Dynasty reacted too quickly, such that they weren't able to do so. Even so, they were able to clash head-on with the 200,000 experts of the Imperial Court. With their strength, they could stop many of them. The abyssal race, which had been lured over by the Demon Fiend, chased after them. That peak undying God King abyss race would not help the one that was being surrounded. Its blood-red eyes stared at the 200,000 people of the Imperial Court, filled with bloodlust. Damn it! Go stop one and ask for reinforcements from the other protectors. In the sky, two protectors were attacking a peak undying God King abyss race. Seeing two leaders of the abyss race charging towards their disciples, their expressions changed. They only had two peak undying God King experts. They could not hold back three at all. One of the protectors gritted his teeth and moved, swiftly attacking the closest peak undying God King abyss race. So, at the same time, a red flame flew out of his body. The flame had a long and eye-catching red line as it shot into the sky. An eye-catching signal flare stood in the abyss, and could be seen from very far away. This was the Imperial Court's unique signal to request for reinforcements. And it was of the highest level. This time, it wasn't just the two protectors that entered the abyss. There were three others that entered the abyss, and they were investigating why their disciples had gone missing recently. Hold on, our Imperial Court protectors will be here soon. Hold on. An elder shouted when he saw the signal flare rising into the sky. Kiki, Demonfian's peak undying God King abyss race let out a weird roar. He exploded with all his might, and arrived before the 200,000 Imperial Court experts. Not good, block it. Attack this abyss race with all your might. An Imperial Court elder looked over, and his heart couldn't help but tremble as he shouted with an ugly expression. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In the next moment, waves of terrifying law energy enveloped towards Demon Fiend. Roar! The devilish demon sneered and let out a furious roar. A stream of black flames surged forward. Zzz. All the black flames were corroded in an instant. In the next moment, the Demon Fiend was already charging forward. Bam, bam, bam. His 5,000-meter-tall body charged towards the row of people in front of him. Ah! When the Demonfiend's attack arrived, a blood-curdling scream rang out. In an instant, the thousands of people in front of him were killed by the Devil Fiend. He opened his mouth and swallowed them into his stomach. Devil Fiend raised his head and roared in excitement. His eyes were fixed on a few Ninth-Order Immortal God King Realm Elders as he charged towards them. Not good. Guardian, save us. We can't stop this undying God King Pinnacle Abyss species. Terrified voices spread out from the mouths of the Imperial Dynasty's experts and disciples. Facing the terrifying demonic aura, they dodged to the side in fear. This kind of existence was not something they could contend against at all. Roar! Demon Fiend let out a wild roar as he charged towards one of the elders. That elder's body trembled. Arg! I'll fight you to the death! He roared in anger as his fists covered in flames punched towards Demon Fiend. Bam! However, what welcomed him was a huge claw that grabbed onto his body. The dark corrosive energy started to erode his life force. Die! With a sweep of Devil Fiend's violent tail, 5,000 to 6,000 people died under his attack in an instant. Run! When an elder saw this scene, he ordered with some fear. The formation dispersed as everyone hurried to hide in the surroundings. However, in the short period of time that Demon Fiend attacked, they missed the best time to leave the abyss. The group of abyss species at the back was closing in. 2 races of abyss species, hundreds of millions of abyss species. Among them, there were many powerful abyss species. How were they going to defend against so many abyss species? Not good. We're doomed. If the Guardian doesn't come over soon, we're all doomed. When the 200,000 experts of the Imperial Court saw the abyssal beasts attacking them from all directions, all of them had a look of horror on their faces. A peak undying God King abyss species was wreaking havoc here, and now there were hundreds of millions of abyss species charging towards them. In less than 10 minutes, they would all be annihilated. Bastard, you're courting death. At this moment, an angry roar could be heard. From afar, a figure charged over with terrifying might. Roar! Demon Fiend looked over and saw an Imperial Court Guardian charging towards him. His face was filled with malice. He moved and immediately attacked the Imperial Court experts around him. None of the Imperial Court experts could withstand his attack. Terrifying might wreaked havoc, and hundreds of Imperial Court disciples were killed every second. These were all God King experts from the Imperial Court. Moreover, Demonfien's target was those above the 5th Order Undying God King realm. In a short period of time, the number of elders that died in his hands had already reached 3. Moreover, when the Guardian charged over, he would be able to kill at least 2 more of them. Demon Fiend roared in excitement as he continued to hunt down the surrounding Imperial Court experts. Almost there. After swallowing an elder, Mo Shah sensed that the Imperial Court protector had flown over. Roar, roar! His figure moved and he directly faced the protector. Little ones, hurry up and hunt. At the same time, he transmitted his voice to the members of the poison department. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. The members of the poison department replied loudly. Their bloodthirsty eyes stared at their targets as they charged towards them. Roar! Why are there 2 more abyss species appearing all of a sudden? When the protector of the Imperial Court saw that the 3 races were surrounding the disciples of the Imperial Court, he roared out furiously with an extremely ugly expression. These bastards seem to have evolved. They actually know how to provide support. Some of our disciples should have died in their hands. One of the Guardian replied with a dark expression. As for why only the Imperial Court experts had died, and the other teams had suffered lesser casualties, they had already forgotten about it. The reinforcements from these 2 races had caused the Imperial Court to suffer heavy losses. We will block the peak undying God King abyss species. You guys charge out. The protector who arrived last roared furiously. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.